all the plans.
But yeah, so we don't have a script this week. We are just sort of going with it.
Winging it.
But this is something that has been both on our hearts, and this is something that we are working together with, because I think it's so important to have somebody to keep you accountable, because it's so easy to just create goals and basically make another to-do list. And I know when you're on a to-do list, or when you have a to-do list, it just kind of, sometimes it's easy to just get pushed to the side, and there's no action.
Something else that you have to get done. You're not, I feel like with a to-do list, you're not as motivated.
Yeah.
Sometimes, because it's like just another thing to check off.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. Yeah. And so what we have done, and I don't know if any of y'all out there know about Rachel Hollis. Now,
shout out.
Yes. Hey. So actually, you were the one that introduced me to her. I didn't realize that till just now. Yeah. Because anyways, and we just kind of, I've followed her separately, and then all of a sudden she came out with a product, which was this book, and we're not sponsored by them or anything. It's just something that a tool that they have created that we have used, and I've already seen a difference in my everyday using it. What about you?
Well, I haven't started it yet. I've made my goals.
That's right.
I'm starting it on January 1st because, New Year's resolution kind of thing. Which is typically not me. Like, I don't normally set New Year's resolutions. I may set a goal or an intention for the year, but I feel like resolutions, I don't know, that word just kind of gets a bad rap sometimes. And
I think a lot of that has to do with everybody starts all of these New Year's resolutions and has this big old long to-do list, basically, and then after, it's good for a couple days or a couple weeks, and then after that it's
fizzles.
And so it's kind of like, oh, well, there goes my New Year's resolution. So that's where Rachel takes it in a different perspective, and she, well, do we want to kind of get into that?
Yeah, let's go for it.
So her thing, so here's her journal, and then the first, and I was going to look up the episode and I forgot. She also has a podcast, the Rise podcast, and she, a couple weeks ago, do you know what episode? I don't remember what episode it is, but a couple weeks ago, she actually read the first chapter which is like just a few pages, and it's basically teaching you how to use the journal. And the reason why she read it was because if you have the journal, great. If not, great. Like, it's something that you can do without the journal, and that's what I love. And her whole goal was to just kind of help people get in the practice of doing the 10-10-1 is what she calls it, which is basically where do you see yourself in 10 years, and then break that down into 10 goals, and then break the 10 goals into one goal that's going to help you achieve the 10 goals, which in returns will help you achieve where you want to be in 10 years. I would definitely mention to take some time to do it. Yeah, I know, Caitlin, you took some time.
I took about a week to just, I wasn't ready. Like, when I first got the journal, I looked at it, but my head wasn't in the space to think big enough, I think, or as big as I wanted.
And she challenges you to do that too. Like, she says, like, dream big, and then once you dream big, go bigger.
Yeah.
Like,
I had to psych myself up for it almost. Like,
really?
Get myself in that headspace of, okay, I'm ready to sit down and let's do this. Like, no holding back. So it took me a week once I got my journal to sit down and actually.
And it's funny, I find myself, like, my husband knows that I'm doing this, and I've shared all my dreams and goals with him, and at first he was kind of like, oh, wow, okay. And I was like, hey, you know I'm a dreamer, you know I'm a visionary, like, I'm going to go big. So it wasn't really hard for me to go big, but, I mean, it was in a way, but it's funny because when you read me yours, I was all like, wait, I didn't even think about like that. And so and not even just with that, but just talking with my husband and different things, like ideas will pop in my head and different dreams. And I'm like, well, no, like I also want this. And it's not that I have like, you know, crazy, but well, kind of, but
well, some of mine are too, but that's okay because that's what Rachel Hollis really challenges you to do. Why put limits on yourself? Why basically talk yourself down before you even get started?
Sorry if you hear noise in the background. I'm in a hotel room that I tried to go into the corner where nobody was, but I think there's some noise. Anyways, but yeah, no, I totally agree. And I mean, and the more that I'm thinking about this, and the more that like I'll listen to some of her podcasts, and not even just listen to some of her podcasts, but like actually write out the book. And what I did is there's a space in here, and I think you did it this way, where there's, I don't know if you can see it, she leaves space for writing like that. And I tend to think faster than I can write. And so what I did was I pulled up my laptop and just a Google Doc, and I categorized it because, you know, I'm a OCD planner, organizer person. And I categorized it.
Categories too, just on paper.
Well, there you go. And I just kept adding to it. And then from there, then I could see everything. And then I highlighted when I went back to my 10 goals, like a lot of them could be kind of summed up in one goal. So I was specific on my dreams, but technically if this one goal happened, like these 5 would be
everything
complete.
Else.
Yeah. So I just kind of went through and highlighted that and everything. But yeah, so I'm excited. I'm excited to see where this goes. I know that we are going to have a complete 2019 makeover. And how, because I'm serious. I want 2019 to be different. I'm kind of to the point where I'm tired of being in the stage that we're in, and not that we're in a bad stage, but I know that we're called for more. I know that we're called for bigger, and I want that for our lives. Just like what you were just saying, Caitlin, right. Is that it's not, why limit yourself? I mean, why?
Yeah, and I'm kind of in the same boat. I mean, I feel like there have been instances in my life where I say, okay, I'm going to shoot for the stars. I'm going to go big. I want to go for it. Yeah. And it's either myself or somebody in my life is like, yeah, I don't know if that's really, you know, realistic. And so I'm tired of letting other people and sometimes myself determine what I can achieve and what goals I can meet. So,
and that's hard too. And that's why, in the beginning I said that it's really good to have someone who is on the same page as you, as far as encouraging you to dream big and to put action behind your goals, and not to limit yourself, because it's so easy. And I think, and it's sad, but I think that this is sort of the way that humans think. And in order to I'm sure there's all kinds of psychological like reasoning, but I'm not that kind of a person. But just on putting others down to make them feel better, or, you know, that kind of stuff.
Right.
But it's so important to surround yourself with people who will help encourage you and help push you and help motivate you into whatever it is that you're going towards.
Well, and find somebody to share this stuff with. I mean, like you and I, have shared all of our goals. Like, there's nothing in this that I didn't share with you. I mean, I literally like read them off line by line to you. But I think that I needed to speak them out loud instead of putting them on paper.
And there's power in that. Yeah.
There's power in words. And, you know, I just want to say really quickly that we both follow Rachel Hollis. And I like her, but she's not, I mean, she's great. And she would even say this herself. Like, you have to create your own version of this.
Yeah.
And be your own version of you. But you also have to have that network of people or that relationship with somebody that's going to support you and not laugh at you when you, you know, say that you want, I don't know, a beach house in Tahiti one day or whatever. I mean, you know, who's to say that you can't achieve those goals? Nobody. So what I was saying was it's important to find somebody that you can share that with. I mean, I've never really shared dreams with anybody other than my husband before, and you know, as much as I love him, he brings me back down sometimes, back down to earth. And I think that's what you said. It's just
I think there's a balance. I think there's a balance because I mean, Keith is the same way, but there's also the encouraging too.
Yes.
And because you do need again, dreamer, visionary, like I tend to go, okay, we're going to do this and we're going to get like huge. And he'd be like, okay, so what does that look like in reality?
How are we going to get there?
Like, yes. And it's not just like, okay, we can't just jump there. What are the steps in getting there?
Right.
And so I know he's a huge help in that in my life. Because you need those type people as well.
Balance. Yeah, it's all about balance. I mean, when I was sharing this with Andrew, I think it was last week when I was sharing this with him and giving him the kind of rundown on, look, this is what I've put on paper and this is what I want to happen.
Yeah.
I mean, it felt so good to say those out loud. And then he was like, oh, yeah, okay, I'm going to make my own list. And I'm like, great.
That's awesome.
Great, let's make our own. And
it's funny. It's funny because as we've been on this trip, like this is kind of, and we tend to do this every year, is we kind of take a vision trip, and it's typically around this time. We'll do one around this time, and then we'll do another one kind of in July, like halfway through the year. And since I've been doing this, and I told Keith about everything, like we were driving on the way here, and he was like, hey, put a truck on there. Like I need a truck on that list. And so like, but it's true. Like, and it's funny because I put on my list, I put 2 new vehicles, but I wasn't specific. It was just like kind of, again, and I do, that's something I do want to do. I want to take time to be a little bit more specific on some of these goals. But it was funny because I was catching him kind of
dreaming,
and then being like, hey, we need this on that list too. And so, are these short-term or long-term goals? Both. Both. Yeah. And I think, and that's kind of what her thing is with dreaming in the 10 years and then breaking it down into the 10 goals and then into the 1. So once you achieve that one goal, then you can change it out to a new one. So like for hers, it was, she wanted to be a New York bestseller. Well, obviously she had done that for years and years. Well, now she is. And so now she has changed it. And there were a lot of other goals along with that too. But I think that's kind of where you go big and you see your end goal. And I talk about that all the time on my feed, is where do you see yourself? Where is your end goal? And then from your end goal, then, okay, let's bring that reality into it. Let's break it down. Let's go smaller. And then break it into those 10 dreams. And then, or those 10-year dreams into 10 goals. This is a tongue twister here. And then break it down into 1. So I know for like me personally, and I'll just be open and share, I have a lot of dreams. And like I said, a lot of my dreams will, if one thing happens, like 5 things will happen. So I can kind of knock those off.
Right.
But when I go down to my 1 goal, it's typically, I'm intentional with my time. And right now, this is what it is. And because if I'm intentional with my time, then I'm going to be intentional with my marriage. I'm going to be intentional with my boys. I'm going to be intentional with the hours that I put in my business. So when I'm in my business, I'm focused on my business, and I'm not checking notifications. I'm not, oh, well, I need to respond here. Oh, wait, this person emailed my, and I'm not so scatterbrained.
Right.
So I'm intentional in my time. And I think that will always, I've kind of gotten to this point where that's my number one, because if I'm intentional with my time, all these other, I'm going to place my time where it needs to be. But I also kind of want to go a step further. So I actually do 2 goals in that one slot. And
for the day, you mean? Like,
for the day, yes.
Yeah.
Because I do want to be intentional, but I also go, okay, well, what do I need to be intentional on? Like, even break that down a little bit further. So sometimes that looks a little different, because sometimes Caden's in school, and so I have however many hours without Caden, and then that's also when Carson's sleeping. So I know I have like a solid, like, okay, I can conquer video making or whatever it is during
that's
that
where your
time.
to-do list comes in.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of, again, everybody's is going to look different. Yours is going to be different than mine, because you have different dreams. So
yeah. And one thing about this journal, and not that we're promoting this by any means, we're not sponsored, but
no, it's just something that we have done a lot of goal setting in. This for us has worked so far.
Yes,
it's something that has worked for us.
Well,
so that's why we're talking about
it helps me get organized with it instead of just keeping it all in my head. It forces me to put it on paper. But what I love is, and I'm going to try to hold this up so you guys can see it, but what I love is that it starts with the things that you're grateful for. So I love that when you do this, whatever time of day you choose to sit down and do this, and I don't know if we've mentioned this yet, but this is something that you do every day. You write your goals every day.
No, we haven't.
But your first thing, that you start with
and it's the same
gratitude.
Ones. Yeah, it's the same not your gratitude. Your gratitude is different, but your goals are the same, which go into gratitude, and then we'll go into.
Yeah. So I just love that it takes this place of, okay, what am I thankful for? What happened today, or what happened yesterday that is getting me one step closer to these goals and dreams that I have? But just starting out a day, like for me, I choose to do this in the morning. That's when I'm fresh. That's when I want to do it. So it's like, okay, how am I going
It helps me start my day off good.
Exactly.
And it helps me it helps me make better decisions throughout the day, because I've already okay, I know where I want to be, and I've already pictured that. And so throughout the day, what is my day going to look like?
Right. And it just helps start your day on a positive note. If instead of waking up thinking about, oh my gosh, I have to do this, this, and this, and my schedule's so hectic, you're forced to sit down and think of 5 things that you're grateful for. And I love that. Like, she actually says in here, from a place of gratitude, we see so much possibility in front of us. And that is my favorite. I think that's my favorite line out of this whole journal, because it's so true. When you start with gratitude, you realize, oh, I am.
And it doesn't have to be any grand, huge thing. You know how many times I have. I was just gonna say, do you know how many times I've put that part on my birthday? I am grateful for yummy coffee.
Yeah,
I am.
And that's fine. You can be grateful for waking up and being able to breathe. There's so many things that if you just think about, even if you had a really terrible day or a really terrible night or something along those lines, there's always something to be grateful for. And I think that's really, to me, that just resonates so deeply, because sometimes I'm guilty of waking up and looking at my calendar or looking at my phone first thing and going, oh my gosh, I'm so busy today. How am I going to get it all done? Instead of stopping and taking 5 minutes and saying, okay, look, I'm going to get it all done. But first I need to think about the things that I do have and the things that I.
Yeah.
to be thankful
Something that I do now. Okay, I will say this. I try to do this every day. This doesn't always happen every day because I have kids. So, and crazy. But I have been trying to get well, since before vacation, get up before my boys, and I have a devotional as well. And I know I've talked about that on here. Lisa Kirkers has an amazing devotional Embrace. She just came out with it, and it's really short. It doesn't take super long, and it's just, for me, it's hit every point where I needed that. And so I will read that. I'll make coffee. I'll read my coffee's number one.
you have to make coffee so you can read.
Exactly. No, like, for real though. But no, so I'll make coffee, I'll read that, and then I'll jump into the whole gratitude and just kind of set my heart in the right place first, and then go into the goals and everything. So, and I've noticed it's the days that happens, my days run so much smoother. And again, this doesn't happen like this every day. And sometimes it happens when I wake up late and I have to get Kate out the door and do all of that. And then so once I have and it could be 11 o'clock, 10 o'clock by the time that I get to this point, but I try to make it more in the morning than in the evening.
Yeah.
I will just, anytime that I can take 10 minutes and carve out those 10 minutes, because it doesn't take super long, I'll do my devotional and then this journal. So the second part, okay, so sorry, I'm trying to get it. So there's the chapter part that she has read that you can go in. And then this is kind of, I don't know if you can see this. Sorry, there's kind of a glare. So it has the date, and then there are 5 things that you're thankful for. And then here it's your 10 dreams I have made happen. And this is important. So this is part of the thing. This isn't just another to-do list. You write it in the context that it's already done. Mm-hmm. Because, and I know there's psychological, again, I'm not a doctor. I'm not all that.
She goes into that a little bit.
She does.
Yeah.
But when you say, I'm going to write a book that is a New York bestseller, that basically just puts another thing on your to-do list. Yeah. But when you say, I have written a New York bestseller, it basically psychologically, your mind is already in the headspace of, this is something that I have done. And I mean, you have to be careful about that as well, I think. But there is, again, that balance. But again, it does a switch in your brain. And again, I'm not a neuro person or whatever. I'm not Dr. Dreamy, but yeah. So
it just mentally puts you in the game. I mean, if you say, okay, well, I'm going to have a New York Times bestseller, then that gives you a maybe. That's well, I might do that, but if you say no, I have a New York Times bestseller, I mean, you're putting yourself in there already.
You're already visioning yourself, which is already preparing your headspace to, okay, I'm gonna do this.
Right.
This is real, and this is reality, and I can do this.
Yeah.
So instead of it just being another checklist on your to-do list and go, it's there.
Yeah.
And then from there, this box is where it says the goal I am going to achieve first. So basically your one goal that's going, whatever one, because again, typically a lot of these, if you've achieved one, you can knock a couple of these off.
Yeah.
So, and I've actually done on some of mine, I'm trying to find it, is because I said that I read my journal, my devotional first, there's typically a verse that'll stick out to me. And I've actually, I don't know if you can see it, but I typically write it right there because I feel like there's something about writing. And that's, she talks about that too, is you're writing the same ones down every single day. And it's that repetition, not reputation, repetition. Not Taylor Swift here, but so anyways, there's just something about writing it and getting it out and more. So
it's just like, in school, they always told you to write note cards, write your definitions 5 times. I mean, there is a true psychological thing that happens in your brain when you put stuff on paper. And for me, that this is going to just rock my world. Like, because it's all been up here for so long. Big repetition. It's been up here for so long. It's on paper now. And for me, it was kind of hard to sit down and take the pen and put it on paper because it felt so
vulnerable
and like permanent. Yeah. Like, obviously in 10 years, my goals can change. Like, they can change from year to year. But I think my end goal is always going to be the same.
Yeah.
And putting that on paper is like, okay, here we go. Let's do it. Like, it's there.
And again, having that person as for accountability and just that push that when you're having a bad day and you just want. Okay.
There we go. Okay. You pick that.
Sorry. I think my phone might die. But yeah, having that, just having that person to help motivate you and push you.
Yeah.
So that's kind of our talk. Any last words before I cut that part off?
That's all I got. Awesome. Really,
I want to hear what you guys like. I know it can be scary to kind of speak them out, but there's power in that, and I want to hear some of your things. So if you want to, which I really hope you do, go to our Instagram account. It's _Caitlin and Hannah, and DM us, or you can do on one of our accounts here, and DM us some of your what's your 10 years look like. And again, don't feel free. Don't
hold back.
Don't hold back. We want to hear that.
Don't hold back.
Okay, next thing before my phone dies and I have to go.